targeting Timmies.
Double for justice for Tim workers.
Protesters converge on the coffee icon over workers' rights.
Imagine taking away a coffee break from people serving coffee.
But is there a larger labor issue on the burner?
Join a union. That's how you protect yourselves.
We're live in Coburg, ground zero of the discontent.
You're watching Global Toronto. This is Global News at 5:30.
Double in labor trouble. Tim Hortons becomes the target of protesters, and from Coburg to Toronto, we have this story covered from all angles. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Alan Carter.
And I'm Farah Nasser. One of Canada's most beloved brands has become the focus of anger tonight. It's all over handling of increases to the minimum wage.
Ground zero for that frustration tonight is in Coburg. Mark Carcassol is there. Mark, what's happening where you are?
Well, Alan, we are at the Division Street location of Tim Hortons here in Coburg. As you can see, a large gathering of protesters here. Hard from where I'm standing to put a number on it, but definitely over 100 at least. Many of them affiliated with various labor unions. They've set up, as you can see here, a sort of picket, if you will, where they are slowing down cars that are coming into the Tim Hortons. Obviously, seeing the crowd gathered in front of the driveway, many cars are deciding not to come in. You could hear the horns honking from the street. They're getting a lot of support from people driving by. Now, you mentioned, Alan, that this is sort of ground zero for today's protests, and here's why. This is the lightning rod site. This is where it all started, because just before the new year, the owners of this and another Tim Hortons franchise in Coburg issued letters to staff telling them that due to the minimum wage hike to $14 an hour, that they would have to go ahead and not pay for their breaks, and they would be scaling back the amount of coverage that they give them for benefits. That touched off a huge amount of anger on social media amongst people who are basically saying that this is just greed. Everyone up to the Premier has essentially called the owners of these franchises bullies. And so they're essentially saying that there's more than enough money to go around. There's a lot of people here who we speak to today who say that all Tim Hortons has to do, even though it's not a decision in the hands of the franchisees, is to slightly raise the price of coffee. Amongst those people that are here protesting today, Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horwath, she says she's happy on one hand to see minimum wage go up, but at the same time upset because it was done so quickly that it's left people in this situation.
For many, many years, I think many people, the majority of people in Ontario have recognized that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. There's only one way you deal with that, and that is through public policy changes. It's taken 14 years for the Liberals to get off their duffs and start doing something about it. And so, unfortunately, as I said, they've done something about it at a time when it's most politically advantageous to them, and workers are being put in this situation.
Now, legally, the franchisees here haven't done anything wrong. It is up to them to make decisions like this, but many people here say that Tim Hortons' parent company, Restaurant Brands International, should step in and somehow reverse that decision. Now, we reached out to Jerry Lynn Horton Joyce and Ron Joyce Jr., both of whom are children of the founders of the Tim Horton brand and the franchise owners here. We asked them for an interview today, but through a manager here at the store, they declined that request. Back to you guys on the desk.
Okay, Mark Carcassol in Coburg for us tonight. Thank you. Now, for so many of us, Tim Hortons is a morning ritual. But is it going to stay that way? Tom Hayes is live at Tim's at Bloor and Spadina. And Tom, what are you hearing from dedicated Tim's fans?
Well, first we'll start about this traveling roadshow demonstration. It's been quite the operation today. We started in the East End around Markham and Lawrence. Now we find ourselves on Bloor, just west of Spadina, as these labor activists say they're now fighting for the workers inside. A little something extra with your double-double this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
A friendly good morning and a not-so-friendly demonstration.
Double for justice for Tim's workers.
This was the scene at a Scarborough Tim Hortons drive-through where members of the Toronto and York Region Labour Council say the iconic Canadian brand is losing its shiny image.
You're going to lose public esteem if you don't enforce fairness.
The owners of this franchise in Markham and Lawrence recently told workers they could no longer take tips and that paid breaks were over. These moves are in response to the provincial minimum wage increase to $14 from $11.60. Customers, they just kept on coming. Did you think about protesting today, not buying a coffee?
No, didn't think about it.
Did you think about protesting today?
I did not at all.
Still buying a coffee?
I'm still buying a coffee, yes.
These protesters are labor activists who say $14 an hour is actually not enough. The fight is for $15, and the message is even bigger.
Join a union. That's how you protect yourselves. You have rights when you're members of a union, and that's what we're going to encourage people to do.
And it's just about disrespect. Imagine taking away a coffee break from people serving coffee at Tim's.
Every day, they deserve decent pay.
So as you can see, the customers keep on coming, and these demonstrators say they too will be back. They're planning another day of demonstration out front of Tim Hortons, and they say they'll continue to come back until their demands for the workers are met. I'm Tom Hayes on Bloor West. Alan, send it back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Tom.